Backyard Brawl gave everything and more when it came to college football playoffs. We're going to talk about Pitt and West Virginia matchup, the Friday matchups we have going in, especially the rest of the weekend games and top players who are going to win you big money when it comes to ACC play. But more than that, guys, the ACC is undefeated right now. Can we keep the streak up for our non-conference games? Let's talk about it on today's show.
You are Locked On ACC, your daily podcast on the Atlantic Coast Conference. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome to today's edition of Locked On ACC. I'm your host, Candace Cooper, joined by Drizzy Drake of Locked On Seminoles podcast. Thanks for making us your first listen each and every day, because we are your local experts who are here to give you everything you need, your team every day, all the good things. But more than that, we're here to talk about some ACC talk because we are undefeated as it stands as a conference. So we're going to hold that right in the pride, because all the realignment and summer talk about us not being a very viable conference. Well, poo-poo on that. We're good. We're doing the damn thing, and we're going to try and keep that rolling throughout Labor Day weekend. Drizzy Drake joins us on this Freestyle Friday. What is good, my friend?
It is great over here. It's Labor Day. As you can tell by my video, I finally have it on here, and also it's a much long needed weekend, but it's more important that week one is here. We have a large slate of games to choose from because we are here to make some damn money.
Absolutely. And we all know that the Backyard Brawl made a lot of people money last night, though. If you did go with the under, sorry for you. However, Pitt and West Virginia did not disappoint. I kind of forgot how intense rivalry games are. And so I was like, oh, yeah, Pitt's going to blow them away. And then as the game was progressing, I was like, hey, Pitt, I want to stay true to what I'm saying here. Let's go ahead and do the damn thing. What are we doing? What we got going on? You're stressing me out. And I want to go to bed, but it wasn't happening. It was a very, very good game. What did you think about it?
Oh, it was awesome. As a bettor, it wasn't that great because I did have my 7.5, so losing by that kind of did bite me in the ass at the end. But overall, as a fan, it's really nice to see some great, a rivalry dude about 10, I think it was 11 years ago was the last Backyard Brawl. It delivered on every aspect. JT Daniels versus Kedon, Slovis, former USC quarterbacks. And then we saw how damn good that Rodney Hammond can basically be a one-man show and actually help out the entire Pitt offense. So maybe it was some growing pains for Pitt. Kedon Slovis didn't have his best game, but moving forward, I can only see them improving. So Pitt might be a sneaky, decent team actually in the Coastal.
Yeah, I think if anything, that game let me know that anybody is up for the Coastal. There's no set team, just despite the fact that they're the defending Coastal champions and ACC champions, they're vulnerable. Kenny Pickett is not there. Jordan Addison is not there to catch the balls that were pretty much catchable, if you ask me, and some fingertips that got taken away during that game. But I don't know about Kedon. I'm not feeling convinced. He did not give me all right, this quarterback's coming in. The way Drake May gave me, all right, he's the quarterback, good. He'll find his group, blah, blah, blah. He didn't give me that just from age, experience. And I'm thinking, okay, you should have it by now. I don't know. What was your thoughts on Kedon's play?
I mean, listen, when you start off campaign to be QB1 at Pitt, and the first thing you do is F you West Virginia, and then you follow it up with the performance that he had. Look, it wasn't great. He was efficient passing the ball, but there's also some moments where Kedon, what are you doing? Now I see why Jackson Dart was the one that kind of when you're fully healthy, Jackson Dart kept playing. But to me, I'm in the camp where I need to see probably 2 more games from him, but I can definitely see where basically right now he seems like an average ACC quarterback. Or for our conference, where the conference quarterback's a below average ACC quarterback. Right. But he can definitely improve moving forward. But yeah, I'm not surprised that a lot of people, including yourself, aren't very high on him.
Yeah, I think we are very spoiled around here. We know excellent quarterback play is pretty much the standard. The standard is the standard, and Kedon did not meet the standard last night. However, as you mentioned, Mr. Hammond certainly gave us something. Abacanada. That's what we're going to go with today. It's Abaconda. I'm sorry, I don't like butchering names, but
we got later to how to pronounce it because I feel bad. I don't want to butcher his name either.
I think it's Abenaconda, but even still, Hammond had great games. I think that they should have gone to Bartholomew, their tight end, a little bit more, but it just seemed like the nerves of Kedon trying to force plays, force issues certainly took over on that game. And then thankfully they had a run game that saved them from, pretty much a disastrous outing from their offense. And defensively, you saw some big injuries with Deslin Alexander getting his wrist hurt. Hopefully it's not broken, but from the way he was holding it going into the locker room, I was a little nervous. He is clearly their best player. Savassi Dennis went down for a bit, but I think he was fine. But that's definitely someone you also cannot afford to lose. But overall, they got the victory. Backyard Brawl was everything we wanted and more. It got me excited for college football again.
It just feels like we're finally back, right? You're about to get ready for the long weekend. Like right now, I think most of us are heading over to work right now this Friday morning, and I'm just like, man, that just was perfect. Now we have to watch. I guess was Virginia Tech and Old Dominion is going to be basically tonight, as well as we got Temple and Duke. So we got more ACC football coming at you. And right now, it's week 1 is here. Football is here.
Absolutely. As we talk about these week 1 matchups, specifically this Friday matchup, we've got Virginia Tech taking on Old Dominion, which should be one of the best games to me, only because people are probably like, oh, Old Dominion, it won't be nothing. I'm like, all right, like Virginia Tech.
That's not true.
I'm not saying hold your breath, but don't get too comfortable with the outing. It's going to be at 7 o'clock on ESPNU. The Hokies are going to take on ODU in what should be a really great matchup. It'll be at Old Dominion in Norfolk. I think it'll be a packed out set. So, I'm excited to see Grant Wells and what he does. And as much as we talked about Kedon, he is a new quarterback getting the nod to be QB1. So can he kind of give us a little taste of what we'll see this season with this matchup? It'll be closer than people think.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those things where, folks, one of the big things I tell people whenever it comes to gambling, typically the lines come out either the last night of football games or early that morning. Mm-hmm. So to me, I was on Old Dominion when the week actually opened up because they were at +8.5, and so far we're almost at kickoff. The lines moved to +6 at our friends over on BetOnline.net. So to me, this is a game that basically Grant Wells is a brand new QB. I mean, he was decent. He was pretty good at Marshall. But the thing is, though, when you see a group of 5 QBs transfer to the Power 5 level, they don't find many success stories when it comes to that. We might have one with I think his name is Cam Ward, the Washington State quarterback transferred from Incarnate Ward. Mm-hmm. So to me, it's a game where it's Brent Price's first game. There's going to be some growing pains. The Old Dominion has beaten these Virginia teams in the past too as well. So to me, at +6 right now, I wouldn't touch it on BetOnline. But this is a game that basically I would probably going to primarily be looking towards the under here.
Yeah, no doubt. And then they'll have Temple and Duke. They'll be playing at Wallace Wade, my personal favorite stadium, because the traffic is light and, it's always a good time there with that staff. But this is the start of Coach Elko's era as well. So 2 eras beginning. I think that when you look at Riley Leonard taking the helm, Jordan Moore being a gadget player for them, and defensively you got Dwayne Carter, you got Jalen Stinson, you've got Shaka Hayward. It's nowhere to go but up for Duke. But this, out of the first 4 matchups that Duke has, is probably the most pressing at 7:30 on ACC Network, where you got to be tuned in because the Temple Owls, while they're not a great team, Duke sometimes can not be great either. So it's pretty much like who wants to be better of the worst, I guess. Maybe. That's
basically what it is. Like, it's basically, I think primarily here is when you're taking this, you need to look to see whether or not you want to take the lesser of 2 evils, right? Yep. I mean, and I hate to say that about Duke, but Duke, get a lot to be desired on the football field last year, and they also lost Theo Durant, and they also lost their leading receiver with Bobo, and they're bringing a new quarterback and a new system and a new head coach overall. Yeah. But I do think Elko's going to have these boys ready. But primarily, I'm not touching either side because both these teams, Temple's really bad. I'm just going to say it out there right now. But this is a game where I don't feel comfortable having either of these teams covering almost 10 points. BetOnline right now is -9 and +9 for each side respectively. Yeah. So here, under 51, I think it's going to be a very low scoring affair on ACC Network.
Listen, all right, there you have it. We are going to touch on some of the Saturday and Monday matchups. I know that Drizzy Drake has a lot to say about that Florida State LSU, especially what happened on the show this week, but we'll give that break for 1 second. Are you one of the people who thinks it's okay to drive stoned? What's the worst that can happen? You end up driving below the speed limit. It's no big deal, right? Well, wrong. The truth is your reaction times slow way down when you are high. You not only put yourself in a dangerous position, but everyone around you. Talk about a buzz kill. Stop kidding yourself. It's not okay to drive high. If you've been using marijuana in any form or any substance, really, you don't need to get behind the wheel. If you feel different, you will drive different. Drive high and you will get a DUI. So as we're going through this football season, make sure that you stay safe and smart out there. We're trying to make sure that everyone gets to the game and gets home safely as possible. We're rocking and rolling with Drizzy Drake of Locked On Seminoles podcast, and we are talking through some of the best matchups going into Labor Day weekend. All of them, really. We have touched on some great ones. We talked about the backyard brawl. We talked about Friday today and what will happen between our two ACC teams. As we all know, sorry we didn't mention Thursday, Wake Forest took care of business with VMI. Wasn't really anything worth to touch on because Mitch Griffiths did his thing. I think that, if anyone was worried about Wake Forest and how they would play against this team, kidding yourselves, but it helped us to create our undefeated stance right now as the season openers stand. We are 4-0 between North Carolina, between Wake Forest, Pitt, and who am I missing? Florida State. Yes, there it is. How could I forget about Florida State? We are 4-0 when it comes to season openers. We're hoping to get 2 more today. And then Saturday is the full slate where things could get crazy, and the only conference teams playing to each other will be Louisville and Syracuse. But when you look at this Saturday slate, top games here for me: NC State, ECU, North Carolina, App State, Boston College, Rutgers, Virginia, Richmond, Miami, Bethune-Cookman, Louisville, Syracuse. Where do you want to start? We can throw anything out there.
North Carolina.
Okay, North Carolina, App State. A lot of people, I was on a radio hit in New Orleans actually yesterday, and someone was asking me really about this game from a betting standpoint, if App is going to come in, if Carolina's going to come in, but App State is going to get that upset.
No. And honestly, in my personal opinion, I think this is a case where basically the public right now is heavily favored. They're, I think, putting a lot more weight into it was a very bad performance by y'all's defense. I'll give you that. Sure. But
don't put y'all. I ain't playing no defense. I touch it down. Don't put me in there. Don't claim me something ready to be claimed. Don't claim me something ready to be claimed. I'm not ready to be claimed right now.
You and Ken had to talk about you being gridiron. Listen, I was going to put you all in for everything else, but no, with North. The defense didn't look good, but the offense with Drake May, you saw what the potential is back there. So I think this is primarily where the public were. North Carolina Open, I think, is a 1.5 point favorite. Currently on BetOnline, they're a 1.5 point dog with a money line of plus 105. So actually, they're technically they're a betting underdog as we speak. To me, this is an overcorrection by the public. To me, this is basically kind of one of those trap games, a buyer beware game. To me, I see North Carolina win this game because they have the better players, more talent. And isn't Chase Bryce still the QB at Appalachian State?
I think so.
Yeah, I'm not taking Chase.
That's terrible. I'm not. We talk so much junk about Chase on this show. I'm sorry, Chase. We didn't mean it, but we did.
No, I'm not trusting you to cover one to up to the 1.5 and also beat North Carolina. So give me North Carolina plus. I think Drake May's going to lead an offense here. All you need to them now with the line the way is to win the game, and they should beat up an Appalachian State team, which I know they have the history with Michigan. I know they've beaten other teams. They almost beat Miami last year. Keywords almost. Now they're actually favorites in this game. I'm not going with almost. I'm going with the sure thing here.
Yeah, the way that the backyard brawl, they were on the broadcast last night that they ran out of beer at Pitt, West Virginia game. They definitely are going to run out of beer in this North Carolina App State game because they haven't played in Boone, North Carolina. The Tar Heels have not played in Boone in 100 years. So, these people have been waiting. Their grandpapas and grandmamas have been waiting for this opportunity. So it's going to be a great game. I'm hoping that the Heels defensively can pull it off. Another great game here. North Carolina State and ECU, 12 p.m. on ESPN. I think it'll be a great noon matchup in Greenville, North Carolina. So some other neighborhoods getting down. And, of course, NC State's going to take care of business. I'm not worried. But are there any players that you hope to see kind of stand out in the way we maybe didn't see last night with Kedon, Slovis, and team?
I want Devin Leary to show Kedon Slovis how to be a proper ACC quarterback. I think this game where, I think Kenton kind of put it perfectly, and I was kind of my same stance. This is going to be a close game to start off, but I definitely think that the talent and the coaching experience and also probably how they've been together for so long with this core unit is going to set them apart from ECU. And I know it's a trendy pick, and people are, they're playing East Carolina. Quite frankly, I don't like certain things. I think doesn't matter to me. It's like maybe the Swamp could be somewhere where it kind of turns the tide a little bit as well. Maybe also in Tuscaloosa or Tiger Stadium, but to me, the true talented team here is actually NC State with Devin Leary, and then also you look at the defensive side of the ball with Corey Durden leading that defensive line, Cyrus Fagan in the secondary, the linebackers too as well with was it Peyton Wilson's the linebacker? Mm-hmm. Yeah, so to me, this is a team that quite frankly, minus 11, I think is a very, very sneaky good line right here, I would take that, and also I'll take the under 56 because I don't think Eastern Carolina. It's going to be a very quick pace game.
So for comparison's sake, when people talk about ECU and North Carolina State, it's sort of like that cousin who really couldn't get into NC State or chose to go to ECU because of whatever reason. What is that team like for FSU? Is it like Florida International or like FAU? Like what is the like adjacent bootleg cousin on the side?
It's UCF, which is kind of funny.
Okay.
Probably experienced probably the most success. I'm going to put that in quotes. I know my brother's watching. He's a UCF grad. He didn't win national championship 2018. I don't want to hear he didn't play nobody except for Auburn in the Peach Bowl. But it's mainly UCF for us because the main three schools is Florida, and then Miami's a private school, but still you have a decent amount of fan base there for Miami, and then they're recently starting to get good. So to me, probably UCF.
Gotcha. So for those who are trying to gauge what it's like, there you have it. Now we have Boston College playing Rutgers, which might be a good game at noon on ACC Network. Phil Jacoby will finally get his chance to prove how healthy he is in that game, and maybe we'll see some good things out of that Boston College secondary and the defense and how they've improved. They'll play a really good team out the gate, an FBS team that certainly would love to have a good start to their season as well.
No, I agree with that. I just really tempted here to go against AJ Block and take Rutgers to win this game because of all I'm not even glad. But Boston College, to me, I actually think Phil Dracovic is a top 5 quarterback in the conference. The only question is he healthy? The offensive line, though, has 5 different pieces coming in, and also Christian Mahogany, the All-ACC. He's going to be All-ACC for this team. He's out for the remainder of the season. So you're going to have to really, really, really rely on Jarwell is the running back? Mm-hmm. And then you also have Zay Flowers. Like, to me, this defense is improved, but also it's improved from basically what was mainly a mediocre defense.
Yeah.
To me, but Boston College is going to win this game. But give me Rutgers plus 7.5 because I think Greg Schiano, when he has the full months to prepare for one game, you saw him cover last year against I want to say it was an ACC team. I'm taking Boston College. I'm taking Rutgers over plus 7.5 here.
Yeah, no doubt. And the 2 games that we're not really stressed about would be the Virginia and the Richmond game and the Miami and Bethune-Cookman game. They'll both be at 12. One will be at 12:30 on. Wait, what now?
You sure about that with Miami?
Okay. Miami and Bethune-Cookman.
Grass.
I mean, look, crazier things have happened. Florida A&M played really well against North Carolina, and Miami, similar to North Carolina in terms of being a coastal team. Who knows how well or bad they're going to be, how well that defense is going to play. I think we haven't seen a lot of positivity per se with the loss of Bubba Bolden and that group. I think it's going to be interesting how Miami in this new Mario Cristobal era goes. But I'm excited to see them at least present some sort of dominance. That way we're like, okay, as much as we talked about them winning the coastal, it's very, very viable opportunity and chance for them to do so.
So I think actually their safeties are better without Bolden actually being there. I'm actually very high when it comes to basically James Williams and Avante Williams. I think they have the second best safety duo actually in the conference behind Jamie Robinson and Akeem Dent. But I also do like Tyreek Stevenson on the outside boundary. My only concern, I think, is the defensive line. I know you have Leonard Taylor, who was, I think, a second-year player. You also bring Akeem Messador from the transfer portal. So this is a very decent defensive line, but we need to see them actually kind of execute. And then, as always, Tyler Van Dyke. I say it on here every time I'm on here. I think he's a top 3 quarterback. He potentially could, sneak his way into a first-round pick because he has that potential. Mm-hmm. Who's catching the ball from him? Because all I hear consistently from friends of mine that cover the team down here, from boosters from down here that I know, from my own personal family and friends, they don't have a surefire number 1 wide receiver as of yet. It could be Xavier Restrepo, but Xavier Restrepo can only do so much because, listen, he's a smaller guy. Better things happen, but we just need to see who is throwing the ball. Who is Tyler Van Dyke throwing the ball to?
Listen, go gadget wide receiver number 1. That's what he needs to figure out how to do because, we're absolutely going to need Tyler to get off and have one of these very exciting games. But more important than that, I want to get to this Louisville-Syracuse game on Saturday that will be exciting to me because this could be the start or the end of Dino Babers, career here at Syracuse and Louisville. Malik Cunningham, is he going to go off? He already had Mikael Jones's tweet or comments posted on his locker. He's sitting here saying, oh, he ain't nobody to worry about. Wrong thing to say to Malik Cunningham. Not the guy you basically try and be, oh, he ain't nobody. Just no. Bad idea, guy. Bad idea, my guy.
He's not that guy, pal.
He's not that guy.
He's not that So we do a gambling-centric like extra episode in our Locked on Seminoles show where basically we try to get the best plays out for the entire week. We have a segment where we call Buyer Beware, where it's a game that we know it looks tempting to touch, but you really, really don't want to take it. And Louisville Syracuse was on my card for that, primarily because there's a lot of smoke with the Syracuse defense, how they're going to be very, very much improved. And it's also basically, in my personal opinion, I've said how I feel about Scott Satterfield as a head coach in this conference since he's gotten here. Not a big fan. And I think it gets bailed out a lot by how good Malik Cunningham actually is. To me, this is a game that, quite frankly, I would steer clear away from, but this is going to basically be – I would not be surprised, actually, if Syracuse wins this game by probably a last-second field goal or something like that. I would not be surprised because that, to me, would be just encapsulating the ACC as a whole, especially the Atlantic, how competitive it is.
Well, not for nothing. Syracuse has been in games, lost games by 3 or less for the past couple outings. The seasons hasn't gone in their favor, but, they have very much been in matchups till they weren't. Sean Tucker is in that backfield. You can never count him out. I am just praying Garrett Schrader figures out how to throw the ball this season. Like, if he could just throw a little bit, they might be in all right shape. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't think they're going to be too far off if you, really boil down to numbers. Garrett just got to figure out how to throw accurately.
Yeah, he's got to learn how to throw. And folks, just for, this is how kind of why I think it's kind of a smelly kind of line. It's going to be an interesting kind of game. Last year, Syracuse lost to Louisville 41-3. And this year, the line is 4.5 points. So there's math that's not mathing there. So to me, this is something that's you steer clear from, but I personally lean towards Louisville, but there's something just in my gut, and I'm not going to go against my gut when it comes to sort of things. I think Syracuse might be the play here, but Syracuse actually could definitely outright win this game.
Well, Louisville definitely lost DJ Avery. Louisville lost Ty Harrell. So, they definitely lost some good key players to their squad. So that's going to be interesting to see how they bounce back. But crazier things have happened. I've seen Malik Cunningham put the team literally on his back and go 400 yards against Duke. So, there's that. But you mentioned coaching. You mentioned Satterfield not being the guy. It's funny you talk about people not being the guy because on this past week, we had Kedon Gibbs of Locked on Wolfpack talk about Mike Norvell not being the guy. And as we look into the Sunday list of games at 7:30 on ABC, Florida State will take on LSU. And not for nothing, there has just been no hope given to the Seminoles. I was riding. Someone said you don't have good reasons why. I'm like, what do you mean? Have you not seen their running backs? Have you not seen Jordan Travis make slight improvements? The defense is still, Jamie Robinson is still good. What are y'all talking about? But apparently, because if you go to LSU, you go to SEC team, you already have a notch above. Guys are bigger, they eat different. I don't know, something crazy. But because you're here, Mr. Locked on Seminoles yourself, please tell me why, or tell me not why, Florida State is going to win this game.
Well, for one thing, it just means more in the SEC. There's just so much everything that we it's just we can't compete with them. No, but Kenton was correct in part of his assessment when it comes to basically you can't take too much from the Duquesne game because it is Duquesne. We beat them up like we were supposed to. It confirmed some things, but it also did raise some worrying concerns. Mm-hmm. That being said, no, primarily because people forget that this is a LSU team that gets a new head coach, a new quarterback, new offensive coordinator, new defensive coordinator, a whole entirely new staff that also struggled to make a bowl game last year. And most of the wins that they had last year were against teams that either didn't make a bowl or struggled to make a bowl game. So to me, with this game, for one, Mike Norvell has covered every single game he's gone against Brian Kelly his past 3 years here, whether it be last year against Notre Dame or the year before. Two, we actually have we played a very vanilla game plan. I know you talked about it on Monday. We don't want to reveal too many cards. There's going to be a lot of action, high flying, a lot of running, a lot of passing when it comes to Sunday night. And three, this is an LSU team where their defensive line is very talented. Mm-hmm. But when you look at the raw numbers, they actually perform slightly above average and then other players across the country. It's simply their names. They're going to be very, very good players because they're super young. And I think probably next year they might be a top 5 elite defensive line in the country. But this is also their first game. And we have a high-flying rushing attack where we have 4 separate backs, and including Jordan Travis, that can run that damn thing. And quite frankly, this is a game where they're more talented than we are, but it also took them a field goal in overtime last year to be able to win Brian Kelly. This is a game, to me, that we're going to win this outright.
How confident are you in Jordan Travis?
How confident I am in Jordan Travis? Mm-hmm. Much more confident, honestly, after seeing, not this past game, but basically seeing his development over the summer. Primarily because, me, my primary concern was he didn't do the little things the right way when it came to playing the quarterback spot, whether it be footwork, whether it be passing the ball. Me personally, I'm a big baseball person. I was always helping out with my pitching mechanics. Like you can see, whether someone with a thrower or actually a pitcher, we're diversifying their pitches. But to me, this is basically, I actually have a lot more confidence in Travis. The only thing that doesn't give me confidence with him is that at sometimes you need to slide. Your brother played baseball. I know you know how to baseball slide. You don't need to take some of these unnecessary hits from these bigger dudes. Like that's more the thing that actually kind of worries me.
Defensively, who do we need to get excited about for the Seminoles besides Jamie Robinson? Did I lose Drizzy Drake potentially? Hopefully not. I can hear you, but not really.
What's up?
Who do I need to be excited about from a defensive side for the Florida State Seminoles besides Jamie Robinson?
Not Jamie Robinson?
Not Jamie Robinson.
Amarion Cooper.
Okay.
Amarion Cooper is going to be
cousin. No, I'm just kidding.
What's up?
Oh, cousin.
Might be a cousin, but no. AKA Duke Cooper. His first start actually was against Miami last year. My boy had 2 picks against Tyler Van Dyke. This is someone that is our cornerback 1. He's someone that comes from, I want to say, the Lehigh Acres area, actually down here in South Florida. He's, to me, going to be probably one of the next best great things at DBU actually over here. And then you might see a freshman by the name of Azarie Thomas, because that secondary right now is actually fully loaded with extremely large talent. To me, Amarion Cooper's the one to look out for. Akeem Dent in the secondary at that safety spot next to Jamie Robinson. And lastly, Tatum Bethune, because he probably is the fastest linebacker that we've had in a long time.
Love to see it. All right, we're jumping ship to Monday's game, the last game here for our ACC teams. Georgia Tech and Clemson. Atlanta will be popping at 8 p.m. on ESPN as the Tigers are ready to go on their revenge tour. All buttoned up, and Dabo Swinney and company are ready to say, listen, you doubted us, and we're going to show you why you should never have. And DJU is going to go off, and it's going to be fun, but I hate that we have to beat up on our own. But nonetheless, I'm rooting for Clemson for the sake of the conference. Now, do I want Georgia Tech to upset? I wouldn't be sad. But for the sake of what we need to do, get here, we need to be in the top of the national conversation. Clemson's got to go ahead and do it. They have to.
Yeah, because Georgia Tech, I don't think is going to have a head coach in about a month and a half.
It's been a while since we've seen people get taken out mid-season, but, crazy things.
I mean, listen, I got experience with that. So we had Will Tiger 2 years ago, and that's a discussion for a different day. Like I heard you mention that with Ken. But with Clemson, the numbers at 23, I'm still going to take that because I don't have any faith in the Georgia Tech defense. I wouldn't be surprised, though, if Georgia Tech kind of goes up 7-0. I think it's this more to see, is DJU that guy? Because if he still kind of plays not as bad as did last year, but maybe somewhere in the middle between last year and the year before, I 100% have the belief that Dabo will bench him for Kate Klubnik. Kind of similar to how we did with Kelly Bryant a few years ago.
I think for his confidence sake, you absolutely shouldn't bench him unless it's egregious. Like, you just shouldn't do that. I think they need to stand 10 toes, let this man develop. And he's not, Trevor Lawrence is a unicorn. Let's not take that away from him, right? I think so many people just want you, if you're not a unicorn, then they're like, oh, you can't be the guy. Like, golly, can you not have some, hurdles that you have to overcome? But my sake, they still won 9 games. Like, Clemson's still very much good. I'm hoping that, Kobe Pace can step up. Will Shipley will step up for him. And just that offensive line will be a year older and wiser and figure things out. Because defensively, we're clearly not worried. It's just that offense. Can they get into that groove? And if they do dominate, it'll shut people up quickly and we'll be good to go.
No, I mean, I agree with that. I just don't trust Dabo anymore. Brent Venables is gone. Tony Elliott is now gone. Jeff Scott is gone. And I'm not a big fan of the internal hire route when it's kind of names that basically I haven't heard of before, especially when Dabo has the ability and also the financial resources to go out and grab these, great elite blue chip coordinators.
Yeah.
But those to promote within, which is kind of a little bit more suspect to me. And then after the Ohio State game, I said that basically you can see Dabo was calling that game because it was reminiscent when he actually was mainly the play caller back in his early Clemson days. So to me, I think this facade of him being a CEO is kind of crumbling for us right now. And like I said before, I don't think Clemson's going to win 10 games. I think they might struggle to win 9.
Maybe he's a czar. Maybe he's like, I only want people who are going to listen to me or go by me. And at some point, with the Tony Elliott, Brent Venables era, it got to the point where they probably just needed to be their own leaders. So maybe he just likes people who are very much like, all hail the king. Who knows?
I mean, listen, Jimbo Fisher won a championship here, but he was the same damn way. His last year, he was like 7-6.
I don't think Clemson will be 7-6, but crazier things have happened in the ACC, and we'll, of course, be following all of the games, all of the bets. We will come back on Monday for GBU, which is good, bad, and ugly. We started a new series there for our Monday show, so make sure you check that out with Kids and Gibbs Locked On Wolfpack. Drizzy Drake is getting ready to probably not go to New Orleans, but still he is going to be dialed in for that Seminoles game, so I look forward to hearing his thoughts next week about that, and we'll get ready for week 2 and all the things. Drizzy Drake, remind these people where they can find you, follow your work.
You can follow me at Tally__Drake, as you see below. You can follow the podcast at Knowles Niners, where we basically engage with our fans, get things for our shows, do our mandatory Mailbag Monday. And as always, folks, we are fans first, people second, content creators third. And Kenton, let me know what your wig size is, because I'll definitely be shipping it. Not like I understand you picking in to win the game, but 21 points. I don't like Michael Arbella that much, but damn, man, come on. I thought we were friends.
I can't wait to win my $100, so I'll split it with you when he gives it to me. So we'll do that.
Okay, that's fair. But listen. Let me know size, color, dye. I can get you some matching earrings too if you want. I got you, bro.
Listen, all you gotta do is go to the beauty supply. I promise you can find a pink wig in like 2 seconds, and they have the adjustable ones.
I probably got one on my storage right now for usually.
I don't know if I want to know why. Candace Cooper and Drizzy Drake, we hope you guys have a great and safe weekend. Make sure you're smart out there. And please come back on Tuesday or really Monday night as we go over some of these games. And we'll get ready for another great week of college football here at the ACC.